But okay.
Hello, Bruchim Habayim. We're here live at the Kollel in San Diego. It's Friday. This is the Friday shiur, and Friday we're learning here from 10 to 1, and Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4. We're continuing in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Hilchot Kashrut. This is the fourth shiur that we're giving in Kashrut, and we're in Siman Mem Vav in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and we're continuing with Seif Chaf. So it says the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Yesh li zaher shelo levashel o litzlot Yisrael ve'akum shtei kederot zo etzel zo. So one should be careful not to cook your food, a Jew cooking his food in the same oven or on the stovetop or in the same oven, this one next to the other. So why would you be cooking together with a non-Jewish person who's cooking non-kosher food? So you might be in a pressed situation. You might be out. You might be camping. There might be a shared oven place. So in these kind of situations, we need to know what would be the halacha. Zeh basar kasher, zeh basar treifa. Okay. He's cooking kosher meat and he's cooking non-kosher meat, and they're cooking it in the same oven. So ima kederos o machavos megulos. So the concern here is they're megulos. The pots are open. Megula meaning they're revealed. They're uncovered. So which means if the two pots were both covered, so that could possibly would be fine. The problem here is that they're uncovered. So, what are we concerned about? We're concerned about the food splattering from one pot to the other, one pan to the other. They're both near each other, and there might be splattering from one to the other going on. That is the concern. So, what about b'diavad? So what if somebody did this? They cooked this, and then they got out and they realized somebody told them they weren't supposed to do that. And they cooked this. They cooked one next to the other, a kosher and a non-kosher in a pot or pan in the same oven or stovetop. And someone went in and did this, and they want to know what would be the halacha. So they say that b'diavad, like we say many times, there's the proper way, the way that a person should do something. And then we have shatat chak. We have shatat chak means you're in a pressed situation, and you might be having more leniencies in those situations. Then there's b'diavad, means you did it already, it's already done, and now you need to know if you're allowed to eat it or you need to throw it out or give it to the dog or whatever it is. So they say that b'diavad, if it's done already, so if you can look at you can examine the pots and pans, you can see and you notice that there was absolutely no splattering took place. So then it could very well be that would be kosher and to be allowed to eat the food. V'chein continues, V'chein yesh li zaher. So this next halacha is about a maid servant, which is very popular today. We have the cleaning lady coming to help out and to come in and clean the house. So what if the cleaning lady is there in the house and there's no one else is there in the house? So that could be problematic. It says here, V'chein yesh li zaher shelo la'aniach hakederos etzel hashfachot kshe'en Yisrael b'bayit ve'enu nichnas v'yotzei. So similarly, we have to be careful. He's talking about Jews and non-Jews getting together, and there's food around. This is a similar halacha. So this is halacha of a shifcha, a maidservant or cleaning lady, whatever, and they're in the house by themselves. So you should be careful not to leave around the food, the pots and pans that are being cooked on the stove when the maidservant's there, when there's nobody else in the house. So what's the concern here? They're concerned that the maidservant might go ahead and add something, spice up the pot, add some things that she like, add some other foods to the pot that and make it not kosher. So we also mentioned here the halacha of nichnas v'yotzei. Nichnas v'yotzei is a very popular term. It means somebody's coming in and going out. So he said, Kishe'en Yisrael b'bayit. This only applies Kishe'en Yisrael b'bayit ve'eno nichnas v'yotzei. This applies when there's no Jew in the house that's coming in and going out. So this is very similar to, we have the din of the mashgiach in the restaurant. We know many cases in the restaurant, the mashgiach can't just come once a week and check the food and check the restaurant, make sure everything's okay, because things could go on during the week and it's not known. So what's going on? So the very similar, the halacha of a mashgiach in a restaurant, there has to be someone that's nichnas v'yotzei, that so he's coming in, going out, doing his business casually at different times of the day, different times of the week. He's going in and out, and that would be the same thing if you have a cleaning lady. As long as the cleaning lady knows that there's somebody coming in and going out, then she would be afraid to go near the pots and to add anything and possibly make them not kosher. Chaf Aleph. So you have a person, a friend, a Jewish friend, and you're not 100% sure if he's muchzak b'kashrut. That means is he careful in kashrut? Does he keep kosher? What level of kosher does he keep? You don't really know. So it says, the halacha is asur liknot mimenu yain o shar dvarim sheyesh lehem lachush behem leisur. So purchasing, you're not allowed to purchase from such a person, which you don't know his kosher status. You're not allowed to purchase wine or other things, anything that might be prohibited. And they say this applies even for with d'oraita, d'rabbanan, any prohibitions that you might have in the wine or in the other things that he's selling. So you don't know his level of kosher, so you're not allowed to purchase from him. That's purchasing. So purchasing is more chamur, is more stringent than other things. Mihu, he continues the kitzur. Nevertheless, im nitarach etzlo, but if the same person that you're not allowed to buy from because you're not 100% sure of his kosher status. So what if it says now something very interesting. If you're a guest by that person, you're a guest by that Jewish friend that you have, whoever it is, that Jewish person, ochel imo. So it says you're allowed to eat by him. You're allowed to eat at his house. Kol shalom nodashu chashud. As long as we don't know that he's suspicious. He's not a suspicious person. We're not suspicious that you don't have any other reason to think that he would not be kosher. So this is the famous cheskat kashrut that every Jew has as a Jewish person. We all considered to be kosher. If you don't know if you don't know what a person's status is, you can assume that he's kosher, and you can eat in the person's house without any problem. Which is very interesting halacha. So this is like the innocent until proven guilty. So when in doubt, we assume that a fellow Jew will assume that he or she keeps a kosher home, and you may eat their food. And like we said again, if there's any reason to believe otherwise, to believe that they're eating, the food is not kosher, that they don't keep kosher, so then it would be different. Then you would not be allowed to eat there. Chaf Beit. So this Seif Chaf Beit is talking about leaving something by a non-Jew. You're giving him something to watch. Yesh li zaher milaniach beveit akum kli sheyesh lachush shema nishtamesh bo. So one has to be careful not to leave over in the house of a non-Jew. Akum, like we say, they call him idolaters, is the lashon of Chazal for non-Jew. Akum kli sheyesh lachush shema nishtamesh bo. Any vessel, anything that you think there's any possibility at all that he might use it. I'm talking about food vessels. Even if you gave it over to a repairman to fix the kli, to fix the pot broken, you're giving it over to kli, even that would be a problem. If there's any possibility that this non-Jew might have used your pot or pan. It continues. If there's any possibility that you might have used it, yaseh sheilat chacham. So you have to ask a sheilat chacham. You have to ask a rabbi, and the reason you have to ask is depending on the circumstances, it might need to be kashered. You might have to kasher the kli from suffix that you're in doubt. You don't know whether it was used or whether it became not kosher or not. So you'd have to ask a rabbi what to do with it, and sometimes you would have to kasher it. Chav Gimel. So Chav Gimel is now we're talking about is going to talk about the din of treifa. Treifa, that's an animal that was wounded or bruised, and let's see. Lefamim lokchim of kafut umashlichin oto arza ve'achar kach shochatim oto. Sometimes this has been observed in history that people would take a chicken and they would tie up the chicken before shechting it in order to quiet down the chicken before shechting it. What would they do? Mashlichim oto arza. They would throw it down on the ground like to shock it and quiet it down. And then they would shecht it. V'hu isur gamur. This is a complete prohibition. So, besides of any other questions of tzar ba'alei chaim or you're hurting an animal, this isur gamur. You have an isur gamur here, a direct prohibition. What is the prohibition? Ki be'ema o of shenafal. We know even if it fell by itself, it tripped the behema, the animal or the chicken was walking and stumbled and it fell by itself. So even then you would not be allowed to shecht it. That we have to see if a chicken or animal fell. So you have to observe it until you can observe it walking, that it walked 4 amos by itself without any problem. That means it's showing that it's completely healthy. So this means that it has to be completely healthy before it can be shechted. Otherwise, it's not. Otherwise, it's considered a treifa. A treifa is an animal that has a wound or a blemish, that one of the blemishes. So the dinei treifut, these were passed down from these are halacha of Moshe Misinai. What is considered a mum? What is considered a blemish? And that would render an animal unfit for shechting. But we're very careful in this, and we try to make sure that the animal is healthy, and we have to make sure that there's no such mumim or blemishes. So we definitely would not want to do something to the animal to cause it to cause such a blemish. That, for example, it wouldn't. You have to see if it can't walk 4 amos by itself. It's not completely healthy. So it would be treifa, and you would not be allowed to shecht it. It would be a non-kosher shechita. So Daled Amot, we say Daled Amot. What's an Amma? So they say an Amma is between 18 and 22 inches. So somewhere around 20 inches would be an Amma. And also whether it's sheep or goats or not only or chickens or cows, anything, you have to be careful with this. Me'od. You have to be extremely careful with this, with the health of the animal before it's shechted. Kaf Daled, a similar interesting halacha that some people might not know if they're shechting. He's talking about ducks here. B'mei ha'kayitz, in the days of summer, shechiach me'od bevar avzot. It's very common with ducks. Shenimtzeu bod ktanot k'min yabelet b'vnei me'ayin. So it's very common in the summer days, says the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, that ducks will sometimes have these warts that are found near the intestines. So this is not so common for us, but this is interesting. These are things that are hidden in an animal that you might not know about. We talked about treifa. So this is a case where people might think the animal is completely healthy. It looks healthy. It doesn't seem to have anything, but it has these warts. So what is the halacha of these warts? So he said, that you have to ask a sheilat chacham if you find these warts. So what is the sheila? What is the problem of these warts that are found near the intestines of the dog? So it seems somehow they can block the intestine or they can puncture the intestine, and it's very close to being being done so that it should happen. So in that case, if they're found, you would have to ask a rabbi. You'd have to say sheilat chacham. This is the Seif Chafei. This is the last Seif that we'll be learning today. And Seif Chafei is talking about the halacha of milchik bread. So, milchik or fleishik bread for that example. So, what's the halacha? Are you allowed to make a challah for Shabbat or something? Bake bread, and it will be milchik bread or it'll be fleishik bread. And the answer is no. That you're not allowed. You're not allowed to make milchik or fleishik bread. So let's see. Ein lashin isa b'chalav. Shema yochal apatim basar. So you're not allowed to knead the dough with milk, meaning making a dairy bread. Shema yochal apatim basar, because someone's going to take that bread and they're going to eat it probably with the meat meal. V'im lash. What if you did it? What if a person did this already? He made a milchik bread, and now it's all a beautiful challah come out of the oven, and someone tells him, "Wait a second, you're not allowed to do that." So even b'di'evet, kol hapat asur. The whole loaf is now prohibited, and you either discard it, or if you're allowed to have hana, if you're allowed to, we talked about this cases where you're not allowed to benefit from it, whatever it is, but either way, it's asur, it's forbidden, the whole entire loaf is forbidden because you made it milchik. Afilu lachlo levado, that means even eating it by itself, not talking about eating it with the fleishik meal or something, even eating just the bread alone by itself is asur. Gizeira, why? The Chachamim were concerned, Shema yochlo im basar. You might come to eat this bread, this milchik bread, and someone is going to come to eat it with basar. So the what's going on here is, since bread is usually eaten with other foods, bread is eaten commonly with other foods. So Chachamim prohibited making bread to be chalavi or bisari. So bread, when you're baking bread, it has to be parv bread. Now we'll see a couple of conditions, however, that would make it okay. So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says, "V'imaya davar muat." Davar muat means davar muat is a small amount, like one serving, a single serving, or something like that. That would be okay, even though it's not part of you making milchik bread or fleishik bread. It's just a tiny amount. The second condition that would make it okay. Oh, one serving. Oh, the second thing. Oh, shishinat surat apat. So you change the shape of the bread. You make a special shape, you out of it, and that shape everybody knows that. Why is it a special shape? Why is the bread in a different kind of shape? Because that's a milchik bread. So in that case, it would be okay. You change the shape of the bread. She'enikar shelo lachlom basar mutar. That everybody will know not to eat this bread with meat. So that would be okay. The third condition would be that this is brought down in the Mefarshim, that they say that if you could see the bread, let's say it's cheese, you have cheese sprinkled on it, or you could see the gravy. If it's a fleishik bread, you could see meat there, that you could tell that it's a fleishik challah or a milchik. You could visibly see the milk or the meat. Then that would also be okay, because nobody would eat that with the other type of food. Okay, continues the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. This is the last halacha. We're talking about pashtida, kugel, making kugel in the oven with bread. So he says, "Ve'en le'efot shumpat im pladen or pashtida betanu." Well, these are types of kugel that we make, pashtida. Betanur, ve'en le'efot shumpat im pladen. So bread with kugel, that's a fleishik kugel or a milcha kugel, a dairy or a meat kugel, pashtida. Don't put that together, the bread together in the oven with that pashtida. Why? The chayshinan, we're concerned, shema yazuv min hachema o min hashuman tachat apat. The kugel is the kugel has oil and or butter and whatever it is, gravy. It's gonna, some of it could drip. A few drops dripping down to the bottom of the oven, and then what happens? So then now you have chalavi or bisari under your challah. The steam is gonna go right up into the challah. Ve'im zav tachtav, and if you see that, let's say you did this, you put your bread in the same oven with your kugel, your fleische kugel, or your milcha kugel. So if you can see that, you see v'zav tachtav, that there is some dripping. There was some dripping from the kugel that dripped under to the bottom of the oven. Dino keilu nilo shimo. That's going to be the same halacha that we just said above. It's going to be as if you cooked, like if you cooked it with meat, the challah, the bread with meat, or you cooked the bread with milk. Asur lachlo afilu levado, that you would eat, it would be usur to, it would be forbidden to eat even on its own, if you did such a thing. So that's it for today. We're gonna stop here, and we hope to see you all come and join us in the kollel and learn together. And thank you very much. Shabbat shalom.